Canada is not what it used to be.
And you're going to find out why that is in the next few minutes. Hey, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking all things real estate. And
we're talking about, immigration from Canada to the U.S. is at an all-time record high.
Okay.
You know how many people left to Canada? What is it? 2021.
2020.
This is what we have.
Okay.
We have data
this
for.
This is right
now.
after COVID.
Right.
COVID just ended, right?
And yeah, we're sort of like we had vaccines and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I guess that opened the door.
Okay.
At that point, right? Yeah. American election was all done by then.
Yeah.
So peaceful transfer of power and all that kind of whatever happened there.
Okay, sure.
Well, we saw a record number of people move. You know, was this a driving factor? Well, 126,000 Canadians left for Canada to the U.S. You know, and I know we talked about there's been a bit of a shuffle interprovincially from expensive provinces to other provinces, and you know, Canada is going through its own housing crisis and affordability crisis.
Sure.
And we're seeing people finding that answer to that in the U.S.
South of the border. Well, here's the other thing. South of the border, if it's everything else can work. Let's talk about, you know, employment, and if you have employment to sort out, if you have all those things, okay, the tax structure is better.
Depending on the state.
Sure. But in general.
In general.
In general, you know, both nationally and I guess California is a different animal, but nationally and the states in general.
I'm not going to pretend to know the tax
I don't know
structures
enough.
of 50.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the gun laws are between 50 different states. Like, they're all different.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But we do know on average that the tax rates are far better in the United States. And as a result, there are different social programs and so things set up for their social net than what we have here.
So it's not like this isn't an odd occurrence. Like, this has been happening over time, but there's a 70% increase. Now, during that COVID year, 2020, we had a little bit of a dip in people moving to the U.S. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's just a little bit, and then it jumped right up. So it's pretty significant over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
To people moving to the U.S. And just as a side note, there's about 800,000 Canadians living in the U.S. now.
Yeah. I think, my opinion, not statistically based or anything, but I think one of the reasons that's happening, we talk about the taxes, we talk about the real estate and all of those things. I think another thing is the level of government involvement in your lives in the U.S. is different than in Canada.
So one of the popular places, you mentioned one of them already. We were talking off camera. You said, "Oh, well, maybe, you know, this place." Yeah. Check this out. Florida. You talk about politics, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry, I can't say this. Florida is the polar opposite. Get it? Polar.
Yeah.
To Canadian politics.
Yeah, because and that's where you want to go for the taxes.
They have. What do they have? Let me get this right. They don't have a state tax.
That's right.
Their property taxes might be more expensive than what we're used to in Canada, just because like the way they set it up. Mm-hmm. And then I was reading, if you're 55 years old, your health insurance, if it's not covered by work, will cost you about $10,000 a year.
Okay.
Which I think, like, well, if I'm saving on income tax that I'm not paying. There's still a federal income tax over there, right? But if I'm not paying a state tax, then I probably have $10,000 or, you know, for the family. Like, I think we could get coverage if we did that. So, but despite the political change, even though it has been a popular draw, it's mostly about affordability.
Sure. Yeah.
So what do they say for Canada? I think the median price, it's changing. And really, when you look at the median price across Canada, you really need to take Toronto and Vancouver out of the equation.
Yes, for sure. And probably Montreal also.
And perhaps Montreal. So once you've done that, you know, the number is going to be significantly lower than what's stated, let's say, on the Canadian Real Estate Association, where we're around, like, we're sub 800,000, give or take, depending on what month we're looking at, 800,000 median price. In Florida, it's 580,000 even after the exchange rate.
Yeah, right.
So
sure, and that's the other thing when we talk about the U.S.
Yeah.
is not just the fact that you have the properties and et cetera, et cetera. It's a lower cost of living in addition to that, because there's stuff we buy on Amazon right now
Yeah.
that we're paying an exchange on, even though it's on Amazon.ca,
Oh, right, of course.
right?
And
I think
then-
of that every time I buy something that's coming from the States and think about, okay, I got to add 30% to whatever I'm paying for this thing.
Yeah, I think like, you know, Canada's always suffered. There's a couple things here. Canada's always suffered from like a brain drain. People leave, like they get educated here. Our universities, especially if you're going to like McGill, University of Toronto, UBC, something like that, they're recognized. Their certification degrees
Yeah.
are recognized pretty much around the world. I'm not sure if they're not recognized anywhere. Right. Like that's, and then, but then they go to the States because they can make big money there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So Canada has always had this problem. I don't know how long it's been, as long as I've been around.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing? Not the taxes. How far your money goes.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to go to Disneyland or Disney World, like yes, things are more expensive, but everywhere else, like Florida, there's a lot less taxes. They don't have Canada has a carbon tax. They don't have that.
Yeah.
So, you know, if somebody enjoys their, they call it's like nicknamed the sin tax. So if it's like beer, alcohol, cigarettes or something like that, well,
Right.
there isn't one there. So those kind of things are cheaper.
Yeah.
So
Groceries are cheaper.
groceries
Certainly.
are cheaper. Right. We live on an island, so everything's just like more, our gas is more petrol, gas, fuel, diesel.
When I
All
first
those
came
things
here,
are more expensive.
When I first moved here, so for me, it's now, 12, 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
They told me it was the sunshine tax.
Oh yeah, it's the sunshine tax. Oh, and you're on an island, so everything is an excuse to like charge more.
Right.
Yes, it costs a little bit more to get everything here, of course. But like Vancouver Island is huge when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's a mountain range, but we still have farms. I don't know if we have enough to like sustain ourselves.
It's
but
not like the prairies. It's not like Saskatchewan or Alberta, but
we need our own refinery on the island.
there we go.
That'll
Oh,
make
my
some people upset.
Oh man, there would be a civil war here.
There's two natural gas refineries or power plants right now.
Okay.
So and they get the Campbell River one is on emergency, like when we overload the grid.
Yeah.
So it's like if we're doing all this air conditioning in the summer, we use it. Oh, when we had the heat dome, that gets kicked online, and in the winter for heat, if we have a cold snap,
Okay.
it gets pumped up again too, and I probably know more than I really anybody cares about, but it provides up to 30% during those times of all of Vancouver Island's energy.
Okay.
From our natural gas powered.
Natural gas. That's different than oil and gas.
It's natural gas.
Yeah.
Or something.
What I mean is in terms of
is
the troops starting to march out, if they're actually starting to, frack on the island or something like that.
I'm not sure if fracking on
It's probably not a good idea, right?
It's subduction zone, right?
Yeah.
I'm not an earthquake person. I just
I just don't think it's a good idea. Anyway.
read some articles.
Yeah. That's probably not the best location to be doing it for sure. So
Right.
anyway, let's get back to
So
where
we don't want to scare you from moving to the island if
Yeah.
you're thinking about it. We're overdue. How many years for a big earthquake?
Oh, a lot.
We're totally sidetracked now,
We're
right?
totally, yeah, we're off the rails. I
Whatever
woke
they
up,
say.
I woke up once because the bed moved in 12 years, and from an earthquake.
There was twice. Once at the in-laws' house, once at home. The other time I was in bed. The other two times I was on the toilet.
Okay.
I thought like a big truck was like going down the road or something. It was like,
Okay. Yeah.
on that note.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. Hope you got some good information out of that. Please take a minute and like and subscribe. It helps us out with getting the word out there. If you know anybody who you think needs to see what we're talking about, please let them know about it.
And of course, if you're thinking of buying or selling real estate in the Greater Victoria area or anywhere on Southern Vancouver Island, you can get a hold of us. Our information is in the description below, and we'd be happy to help you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
See ya.